We're back.
Yeah.
Another episode of Virtus Podcast. Your things are on the wrong ear. Oh my God, that's the best start I've ever seen. Georgia, clip it. You have your ear around the wrong way.
Oh,
You're going to have it like inwards.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh my God. That's the best thing. That is the best start of the podcast we've ever had.
Thank you.
Oh God. Welcome back to Virtus Podcast. We're here with Tarni White, AFLW player at Collingwood Pies, and we're here with Harvey as well, who's just decided to bunker up shop today. Welcome, Tarni. Not your best start. Thoughts?
It'll get better, I promise.
I'm worried for you. So
I'm worried for myself. My heart rate's up.
Anyone who's not watching Playing Along at Home, Tarni just had her headset on completely back to front with the noise receiving part facing outwards.
I thought that's why I could hear you.
Oh my God.
That's what you wanted.
Oh my Lord.
No.
So Tarni,
I've got a lot of experience, I promise.
Oh yeah.
It's like when you lie on your resume.
I've done this before. Yes, good.
Yes.
Little formal heart rate check where you're at now after that little introduction.
Probably like 80s to 90s.
Yeah, you're peaking now.
It's 94.
For reference, we're about 56 before I hit that red button that says record. So, hey Tarni,
good,
what's up? Welcome to the potty.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thanks for having
to
me.
like the less official side of Virtus. So you've been on the floor, done a few sessions, but now you're in the hot seat.
I am
You excited?
very nervous.
I'm excited.
I am.
You've done some cool shit, and I don't think you realise that. So
Really?
yeah.
Talk about it.
No, we're going to talk about it. That's the whole point. If we could talk about it now, it would be over in 3 minutes, and that's unfortunately not how this works.
That's unfortunate, isn't it?
Tarni, what do you do?
Play in the AFLW.
Yeah.
Don't have a job. It is my job, really.
I was going to say, it is a job.
It kind of is, yeah. Full-time athlete now.
Full-time
Loving
athlete.
it.
Part-time mum, dog mum.
Yeah, just dog mum.
Dog mum.
Dog mum.
Dog mum.
Yes. I've been a mother for about a year now. It's been a wild journey, but I'm really grateful.
Yeah, because she's adorable.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Well, she gets it from her mum.
Yeah, we'll go with that. What's your weeks look like at the moment? So where are we at in the year? This won't come out for a few weeks, so let's give a bit of context of where we are right now.
All right, so we're the first week of June, first week of pre-season for us girls. Official, of course.
Yes. The old official, unofficial.
Official, unofficial, pre-season. Been training at Pies for a few months now.
Yep.
Loving it. Just been doing a little bit of rehab for the knee and getting my strength up and fitness, and now ready to hit the ground running with the girls.
Yeah. Week 1. Are you
Week
excited?
1.
Are you nervous?
No,
New club,
not
new
at
year,
all.
new me.
I literally...
Hashtag. New year, new me.
Yeah, pretty much. I got a little bit nervous, but to be fair, I've been with those girls for a few months now, so you couldn't wipe the smile off my face.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the transition, all that fun stuff. Don't worry.
Can't wait.
What are you most excited about for pre-season? Looking at the next 11 weeks from now, I guess, give or take.
Everything, really. Like, just I feel like I've learnt the game plan pretty well back to front already. Been taken to a lot of men's footy games and football trainings, helping them out as well, and just learning what the club's about and their values and the culture and all that stuff. But the one thing I'm really excited about is probably just to see how we shape up in the competition once we play, obviously. But pre-season's always a grind, but the one thing I love about it is those hard Saturday sessions, and then you get to have coffee and brunch afterwards and just laugh about how hard it was.
Do stuff in the morning.
Yeah,
so
really.
Coffee and brunch after. I mean, we just had a coffee from lovely common folk.
We did.
Made your day. Good coffee down on the niche.
It's actually why I came down here.
Not what you get on city side anymore, that's for sure.
No, not anymore.
Coffee, cafes, golf courses, beaches.
I've got beach.
Port Melbourne Beach versus like Sereno Back Beach. Like, I know what I'm picking. I'm taking Sereno 9 times out of 10.
You win.
So pre-season, what does your kind of week shape up / look like day to day? Now you're a full-time athlete, not half and half.
Half and half, yeah. So basically we start early Monday morning, finish around 1 p.m. usually after I've done an extra bike section. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, obviously leading into the nights, and then I'll do an extra row, and then Wednesdays are Pilates, Fridays uppers, Saturday sessions are in the morning.
Need some of those uppers.
7 a.m. start, I do. I'm still in the noodle club.
You're still there, yeah.
Yeah, I am, but I'll get out of it, don't worry.
We need a new chairman now, actually. Our chairman's moved on, so At the Saints, we need a new chairman of Noodle Club, so I'll have to get your nomination, actually. Who do you reckon should be the new chairman now that Shitty's moved on as well? Shitty and I, like Noodle Club originators, OGs.
OGs. Yeah.
Chairman's gone. CEO's still there.
Rest in peace.
Who do you reckon steps into the chairman seat? Or chair lady seat? Woman seat? Chairperson?
Person.
Yeah, I like that. That's
I don't know. Probably Renee.
You reckon?
She's just like...
She's... Yeah, but
where it is,
she hasn't ever experienced Noodle Club, though. Like, you got to have someone he's been in there first and is, like, grown up and, moved up through the ranks.
Tiana Smith.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tiana Smith.
That's 100%. A good one, actually. Yeah, we'll give her that. She was a proper noodle, and then she came back not a noodle.
Yeah,
so.
And I'm still a noodle.
You know who actually, this is completely sidetracked. We started talking about noodles.
Noodles.
So context basically is normally we do a lot of upper body extras, irrespective of what club you're at. It's just nice doing upper body. So Noodle Club, for those who have no idea about Virtus, it originated here actually. It's just like people who are a little lankier with their arms, shall we say. They look like those little car yard noodles and their arms flapping in the wind. They grow up and they de-noodle themselves and they graduate from Noodle Club. So that's where we're at on that. And the context for that is, will never ever be in Noodle Club again. She's going to hate me talking about this because she sprayed me all of this week. Beck Ott.
Oddie.
Those shoulders are capped.
Yeah.
She is jacked.
I reckon it's just from the basketball. I'm most definitely
not allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it because she hates it.
She's jacked.
Oh.
Yeah.
I walked in on Thursday night and I was like, you been doing it? She's like, actually, no. And stop talking about it. I was like,
leave me alone.
Come on, Oddie. It's a reward.
I wouldn't want to be defended by her.
No,
not at all.
No, not in the slightest bit. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Your weeks. Pilates, upper body extras Friday, long session Saturday, coffee.
Yeah. And then Sunday is usually recovery. Usually that's when I'll utilise the resources at the footy club. Yep. Go do a sauna or whatever I feel like at the time. Ice colds. Yeah. Yep.
Give or take, depending on the week. Obviously, how many sessions are you doing in a week, including recovery?
Oh.
Just encapsulating everything, not just what you have to do to be at the club, but like you now as a full-time athlete, like how many sessions are you actually doing?
Probably an extra 5 on top. So
what's that, 9?
Yeah, 9 or 10 usually. Nice. Yeah.
Nice. If you had the choice, or you did have the choice, what would you add on top of your week as well that you're not currently doing that you think would be beneficial to you?
It's quite hard to say, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, thank you. I don't know. I feel like
you're hitting Pilates. You got your weights. You got your normal footy running. You got your recovery. Like, is there anything else you feel like you're missing right now?
I would say a really good thing is, and a lot of athletes don't do it, is just downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of just completes your week if you can have a really nice downtime and a bit of mindfulness.
Yeah. What's Tarni time look like?
I usually go walk the dog, go along the beach. That's when usually I'll kill 2 birds with one stone and go in the water and just sit there. Yeah, it's really nice.
Olive like the water?
Oh, she loves it. You can't get her out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this one time at band camp.
There
was a guy in the water and no one else on the beach, and she decided to jump in the water while it was like, I reckon, 12 degrees and just went and swam to him to say hello.
Oh, she's a Goldie,
Yeah.
Friendly little characters.
Yeah, but I'm an introvert. And I was like, come on.
Your dogs balance you out.
She really does. We work well together.
It's a nice experiment to socialise. You take your dog out and people want to talk to you.
I'm like, keep going.
Yeah, you're your little flat white going, don't talk to me, I'm scared of you.
On your shot.
Yeah. What have you, so for context, where did you start playing footy? Because obviously we're going to go way back. We're going to talk about little Tarni.
Way back.
Yeah, little Tarni.
Little Tarni.
Little Tarni.
I'm little now, but little one. I started playing rugby first, and then transitioned over to AFL. Played with the boys. Apparently, when I was 7 and 8 years old, the rugby boys were too big, and I was just this big. I was little Tarni, and I had to wear shoulder gear and
NFL pads.
Yeah, literally. And I just was like, this is a little girl. I was like, oh, God. Got snapped in half, but it's all right. Probably where I learned how to be tough.
Yeah. Probably.
But we don't know about that.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Played with the boys all the way through till I was 14, and then I was playing with the girls. So 2 games every week at 2 different clubs. And then that's kind of where it started to really kick off through state teams and all that. Yeah. And then transitioned my way down to Melbourne when I was 18. Yeah. I probably always had it in my head that I wanted to move to Melbourne. And I reckon you ask anyone I know in Brisbane, they'd be like, she was always going to move. Yeah.
What did life look like in Brisbane for you at that stage? So under 18, finishing high school, like what do you remember about that part of your life, or time in your life?
Well, I graduated when I was 17 and then obviously drafted at 18. But probably within that 16 to 18 period, I obviously did my first ACL and I kind of just wanted to change already and probably a really good challenge as well. And so I thought now's the perfect time to go while I can still, maybe try to start making a name for myself in the AFLW and also just learning about who I am as a person and knowing how to be independent. It's really hard when your mum does your washing and cooks and everything
your mum
for you.
is a lovely lady.
She's beautiful.
She's
little
lovely.
Karen. Yeah.
Literally Karen, not...
She's not a Karen from Brighton.
Yeah, we're not calling her a Karen just for a reference here.
No, Kaz. But yeah, so I felt like I just needed a little bit more.
Yeah. What was high school life look like? Did you like school? Did you hate school?
I reckon I went through phases. Yeah. Where I really wanted to knuckle down, and I wish I did, to be fair. Yeah. But I just realised it probably wasn't for me. Like, I feel like there are so many different types of learners out there, and I'm really grateful that my parents didn't push me in either direction. They just kind of let me choose my own journey. And I tried so many different things, and I've had so many different types of jobs. I started a fish shop.
Like fish and chip shop or like bait and tackle?
No, like bait and tackle.
I can relate to that. My uncle actually owns a bait and tackle shop, so you're among company here.
Until your mum picks you up at like 15 and goes, "You stink."
Yeah, that's not so ideal.
Yeah. And it's just the stench wouldn't get off.
Fish gal.
It's actually my nickname at Pies. Fish. Yeah, there you go.
No, I love that. What's was PE just like your favourite subject? Like, typical sporty kind of gal? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
What were you good at?
Touch footy.
Yeah.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Went to states and all that for that as well. Yeah. And there probably isn't still like much of a pathway towards that either. Yeah. I really wish I could try rugby again in the NRLW or rugby sevens. Yeah. Probably something up the back of my sleeve that I'd love to do. See if my body allows me to do that as well.
You're still a spring chicken.
Good. Exactly.
Unlike my old washed up butt over here.
Not at all. You're an athlete.
So talk to me about your first knee.
Yeah.
So obviously a fair chunk of this is knee related.
Knee.
We've had some issues. Some knee issues.
Knee issues.
Yes. So talk to me about the first one.
Yeah, I reckon it was a really hard point to do an ACL leading like a year into the draft, especially with where I was at. Not to sound egotistical, but probably scouted as probably one of the best in Queensland or Brisbane at the time, and probably felt the pressure to really go above and beyond when I did my rehab, when I did my first ACL, sorry.
I think you carried that through the next one just quietly, but anyway.
Thank you very much. It was really hard. I didn't know who to go to. I was still in the Lions Academy at that stage, and resources were very limited because you're not in the AFL system. You aren't provided with the best of the best. But I was fortunate enough that I was just training with the Lions AFLW, and I was able to use their gym at the Gabba. Thanks to Craig Stasovich, she saw something in me and just allowed me to do that at the time. I was seeing the best physio, Miranda O'Hara. So, yeah, I really gave it my all at the time. But it probably, the one thing reflecting back on, I wish I probably took more time for myself mentally and learned about myself there. I feel like it probably opened up a little hole of where I became quite anxious, but I didn't know the anxiety side of things and like how my behaviours were at the time. Probably why I'm a little bit introverted now, and yeah, so it was really hard. But I still wouldn't change it. Even if I could go back and not do it again, I'd still allow myself to do it and go through that.
Do you remember much of like the day you did it?
Oh, yeah. So I had great-grandparents coming up from Albury and they were watching my footy game. And
this is to Queensland, yes.
Yep, to Queensland from Albury. And I remember we played at 4:45 and I did it in the first 6 minutes and it was on the 8th of May. I remember everything about it. I was just... Someone kicked it out and they didn't kick it well, let's be fair. They kicked it to the... No. I won't out them.
Coward.
It was... Look, to be fair, my knee did it.
Hey, to be fair, when I broke my leg, I also got a terrible kick towards me. So, fair, I can relate.
So it's their fault, not you.
Both. Anyway, Kaz, carry on.
Yeah, so I was just leading out to the pocket with a bit of a grubbered footy and I've just stepped out too far and my knee buckled. And that was my right knee first.
Yep.
And I remember just screaming. It was excruciating pain, but then it just
painful
stopped.
One?
Yeah, it just instantly stopped after a few minutes and I was like, what the heck does this mean? And everyone's like, at the time ACLs were like starting to get really spoken about and I was like, I reckon I've done an ACL. I was like, oh, there goes that, and there goes that, and there goes the state team and nationals. I was like, and I was kind of just catastrophizing everything. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So it was a really hard period, and probably for my parents as well to to deal with me. Poor things, but they got through.
What was the turnaround time like surgery wise? Like what surgery did you actually have? Because obviously back then there was not as many options as there is now. What did that kind of look like?
Yeah, so I played exactly on 12 months later.
Yeah.
First game was in Perth for nationals. But yeah, the surgery is very interesting because I've had one in Brisbane and Melbourne.
Yes.
And I prefer the one in Melbourne now, to be fair. After surgery, my first one in Brisbane, I was up with my leg like this instead of out straight. And for... Like, I reckon the first 3 months, I was just learning how to get my legs straight.
Several nations.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So I was like, well, kind of defeats the purpose. I was like, why not put it out straight? So, yeah, and I carried that into my next surgery where I was arguing with the nurses post-surgery.
You? Yeah. No, that wouldn't happen.
I was arguing. I was like, why is my leg not bent up? And they were like, no, this is so much better. I was like, all right, say less.
Yeah. What graft did you have the first time around?
Hamstring. I've had both hammies. Yep. But I had an extra procedure on the second ACL, which is elite.
Yep.
Don't know what it stands for. I was going to say. You go.
No, I actually don't know. I always forget what it actually stands for. So
it's literally the longest word.
Yeah, it is. That's why I just forget it, and I'm just like, I'll look it up every time I have to think it. Yeah.
But it's interesting because there are so many different types of surgeries now. And I feel like it's forever evolving.
Yeah, and it always will.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What about, so from surgery after you've done your first one, was that like instantaneous or you had to wait a certain amount of time? Because technically it's like elective surgery, technically. Yeah,
the Lions got me in 2 weeks after.
Yeah. So the bonus of being in that environment, hey? Exactly.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. Just probably with Craig. I had that really strong relationship with him since I was 12. In the Queensland Academy, and I think he just knew, I guess, my potential. So he got me in straight away.
Yep.
Yeah, very grateful.
Recovery rehab.
Hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was hard. It was hard because
who doesn't like to sit still.
Yeah, I also I was at that age where I was like starting to, I guess, go to parties.
Adult.
Yeah, and as well. And I was like, okay, well, I want to experience being that teenager adult life, but I got a rehab and I've got to be professional. And I was like, okay, how do I balance that? So the balance side was probably really hard for me, and I got it wrong at times, and I'll happily acknowledge that. A little bit too hard on the partying. And then I pulled up sore the next day and I'm like, okay, right, I'll never do that again. Yeah, and I learnt those lessons instantaneously.
Yeah. What are you, from what you remember, what are your biggest learnings or takeaways from that we'll get into in a minute that you took into your second one?
The patience. Yeah. Yeah, let everything fall into place, especially when you trust the people around you, which I did at the time. It's just do exactly as they say, and it ask for more, and if they say no, then respect that. But be really diligent with everything you do. If you do a really bad rep, do it again. Make sure it's perfect.
Did you have any speed humps or roadblocks in the first one?
Not that I can remember. Yeah, okay. No, I was pretty smooth sailing. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about going into your first game post first one?
Horrible.
Yeah.
I remember that feeling. Well, it was for Queensland as well, and we were versing WA over in Perth, and I was shocked at the level of the speed has changed in nationals. I reckon from a year ago, I wasn't coming into it as fit. And obviously a lot of anxiety around that going, am I still going to be drafted? Where do I sit now? So again, I worked really hard on not catastrophizing everything. And I kind of just had to, I guess, pray in a way that my hard work through rehab got me through in time.
Is that something you've come to upon reflection, or is that something that you were pretty aware of in the moment?
I was very aware. I feel like I'm very self-aware of myself. I knew I wasn't fit enough. So, and usually I was a midfielder my entire life, and I played half forward.
Yeah.
I was like, no, those mids are fitter than me. There's not a chance in hell that I'll keep up, and that lets the team down. Play me somewhere else that can hide me, but still make an impact, or do those little 1%ers like shepherd for teammates who want to kick a goal or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How'd you go in the carnival?
Not that good.
Team-wise or individual-wise? Or both?
Individual-wise, yeah, it was really hard because we played in Perth, and then I think a few months later, or a month or two later, then we played at the Gold Coast. Yep. And I played a lot better there individually, but it was quite inconsistent and depending on who we versed. If it was Vic Metro, Vic Country. I remember we played the Allies, and I played a lot better there. And I think when I played with Freedom, I played a lot better. Mm-hmm. When I wasn't overthinking, that's really where I shined, especially in patches, and knew that I was like, okay, I can get back to playing some really good footy again. Mm-hmm. Probably not right now, but it's definitely going to come. Yeah.
Is when you're talking about being in that flow state, is that something you're able to consciously become aware of and push your mindset towards being in a flow state, or is it something that, depending on the day, that's just kind of how you get into it? What are some of the things that help you achieve that, I guess?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And I've had this conversation with a lot of athletes, is you just don't know sometimes. You're just in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And then some are actually able to cultivate some of the stuff they're feeling and turn it into a flow state type setup.
Yeah, I reckon I can do that. Yeah, especially I don't see, when I get anxious or nervous, I don't see it as a bad way anymore. I go, okay, that's actually more fuel to my fire.
Yep.
I can use these nerves and turn it into energy in a good way, and be able to, I guess, use it as an output for longer periods of time as well.
Yeah.
I think that just comes with time and a bit of repetition of self-talk. It has to be positive. And I guess also it's hard not to talk to yourself negatively, and everyone battles with it. There's always a little devil and angel on either shoulder. I was watching a video with Roger Federer, and he was getting absolutely smashed by this tennis player at a tournament, and he kind of just walked back to reset in a way, and he was already thinking about what he was going to say in the press conference afterwards, and he was able to snap out of it instantly and go, okay, well, to win this, I need to stop thinking about the future. I need to worry about the present, and that's how I perform. How can I get back into that flow state mindset? And he was able to come back from that and fight those demons. So every time I'm in that mindset, I actually think of him going, okay, there's always going to be a devil on your shoulder. How do you, I guess, talk yourself out of it? Yeah.
Bit of red brain, blue brain, huh?
Yeah. Fire and ice. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. I love it.
Talk to me about Little draft, Tarni. What was the process like from under 18s to one nominating for draft, and what, obviously you said you already knew you wanted to move, but what the process is of nominating for a different state, saying you are in Queensland and you nominated for a Vic draft?
Yeah, my first thing I had to do was get a manager because I didn't know any contacts in Victoria to speak to or to get my name out there. So I got a manager and he was really helpful in the whole process to get me to where I wanted to be. It was really hard when I was nominating and it was like becoming really official. I still remember it. I was at my sister's house and all my parents were there. And I was inside just going, like, there's a few boxes going, like, all Victoria, Queensland, Adelaide. And, like, you just nominating where you want to go. And I was like...
Is that terrifying? With a pen in your hand to just my life could change if I tick a different box?
And I just went click and did it. And then I just, like, went outside and I was like, by the way...
Oh, shit. So, guys, that was the Victoria boxer.
Yeah. And my mum's face, she was just like... And just, like, oh, so upset.
Yeah.
Like, that it... Like,
did they know?
Official.
Did they know?
Yeah, I've been telling them for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And for them
Had they come to terms with it?
No.
Nah.
Not until after I left.
Yeah.
Probably like a year or two ago. They were like...
Are they still there, or has your mum moved down now?
No, she's up there.
She's up there?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. That sounds so negative. Your mother's a lovely lady.
He is.
How did that go down from like a family point of view? Are you close with like your extended family? Like, did you have a pretty tight-knit family, or are they kind of spread a little bit? Or
I would say we're spread, but we're close. My brother moved out a year after I did as well, but we still all managed to find a way to keep in contact. And I guess the one thing I love about living outside of home now is that Christmas and the family events that you get to go home to.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just become more blessed because you're like, all right, my grandparents are here.
Yeah.
And just that feeling of like, everyone's around me, take it in.
Yeah, lots of my cousins got little kids now, so Christmas is getting even more fun.
Oh.
There's a big lull when like the kid adults get old enough where Christmas becomes a little bit of a lull. Then they have kids, and then it gets fun again, and then that's where we're at now. So
we're kind of at a little different stage. We don't have any kids, but we have a lot of dogs.
Sure, that's just as good.
I reckon it's better. So everyone brings their dogs home, and it's just a nightmare.
That's fun though.
It's fun.
Fluffy kids.
Keeps you on your toes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So timeline from nominating to actual draft. What's that look like, and were you nervous as hell for that, dude?
Oh, I did not know where I was going to go on draft day. So many clubs were playing little games.
Yeah, that's the normal draft thing. What does that look like for someone who has no idea? Not personally, but like for people who are listening who have like no idea what draft games look like. What is that as an athlete?
They're just leading you on a little bit and teasing you, and they do that to your managers because they know that your managers will speak to other clubs and pass on that information.
Yeah.
And then so they're like, oh, okay, I won't take Tarni then because she won't be available, or she might be available later on, so I'll use someone else.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, they completely trick that other club.
Big old mind games.
Yeah, and that's what Saints did. And it was funny because my sister's a long-time Saints fan, and she came in on draft day with her Saints scarf and was like, I reckon you're going to go to Saints. I was like, I reckon I'm not, because they just said, like, they don't want me.
Yeah.
And, like, no one is talking to me. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm not going to get drafted. Before you know it, Tarni White. I was like, oh, thank God.
What pick?
30, I think.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
What pick in the Vic draft was it, though?
I think it was 15 or 16.
Yeah, I think it was. I did have a look last night, actually. I think it was 15 or 16. So
there you go. Yeah, and to be fair, I was so worried about what pick I was going to be.
Yeah.
Since I was like 14, 15, I was like, I want to be the highest pick. I want to be this. Yeah. I want to be that. Like, and your ego just gets totally in the way. And on draft day, I was like, I actually don't care what pick I am. And
get me somewhere.
Yeah, just take me. Someone take me, and I'll happily play wherever.
Did you have a club you wanted to go to?
I really liked Saints and like who I was speaking to at the time. Like I was really, really fond of them, especially because my sister's a huge Saints fan as well. I was really keen on North Melbourne.
Nice.
Yeah. And I liked Carlton, but
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then you got stuck with us.
Now I'm at Pies.
Yeah. We get to that. We have a Warhorse. Warhorse, you got to lead the people down the path, Tony.
No. Go straight there.
What did moving interstate look like? So obviously draft night, you get picked up. What does that look like? That obviously because you can't play anything. Like, one, you don't know if you're going to get drafted. Full stop. 2, if you do get drafted, you don't know where you're going to get drafted to. And then 3, what does that kind of look like from packing up your life?
Yeah.
As a little baby Tarni.
It was hectic.
Yeah.
As soon as I got drafted, I was like, let's go right now.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Wrap her up.
I was really fortunate that I had no idea where St Kilda trained, and it was in Moorabbin. I was like, where the heck is that?
Yeah.
I looked on the maps. I was like, that's nowhere near the city or anything. It's like in the sticks. I was like, oh my God. And then I was fortunate enough that an old friend, Nikki Couston, who was in the academy I was in as like a psych or wellbeing manager, sorry, she offered for me to stay there in a spare room, and I was 15 minutes from the club.
Yep.
And I was like, I'll be there in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Literally 2 weeks.
Pack her up, balls.
I was there. Yeah. And my mum's like, you're moving so soon. And I was like, no, I got to get there because I got to start training and get fit and like get used to everything.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, you're crazy. I was like, no.
A little bit, but yeah.
No, not at all.
A little bit.
I was excited. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I remember I walked in to Saints for the first time and all the boys were in the gym and I was like, oh my God.
This shit's real.
Yeah. And then I don't know what was over me at the time, but I just had this like little bit of courage.
Yeah.
I walked into the gym and just started my own gym.
Yeah.
I knew no one. And then they offered to help put the weights on. I remember I was doing trap bar deadlift and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That they're so lovely, just said hello off the bat. They didn't need to do that. They were like doing their own gym session. So I was like, yeah, this is a really good club.
What are some moments in the first week at your new club, coming from Brisbane, which is, most of the part they train at the Gabba for the most part, obviously a little different now, but coming from that, like a huge ass stadium, to little old Moorabbin out in the sticks, what was the first, or some things that you remember from the first week that you were like, shit, this is real now, or hey, this is way different than what I thought it was going to be?
I remember Kat Phillips texting me. She was my first friend at Saints. Yeah. I love her so much.
Baby things.
I'm
so excited.
Oh my God.
From afar.
Little Phillips.
Yeah, little Phillips.
And she texted me. She's like, do you want to go for a run and coffee? I was like, yeah, let's go.
I'm in.
Yeah. And I didn't realise Kat Phillips is an amazing runner. And we were doing 200s.
She's
and I was
a very
like,
good runner.
This is a standard now.
This is rough, yeah.
Yeah, this is rough, but this is where I got to be. I got to get fit. I got to get extra fit. I've got to do everything right.
Yeah.
And she was a great training partner, but also friend to lean on throughout my time at Saints. She's helped me a lot mentoring with leadership as well, just with my communication skills and everything else in between.
Yep.
I absolutely love her.
Yeah. What else do you remember about the first week of the club?
Not much after that.
Yeah.
That run.
A big blur, hey?
Yeah, it was a big blur. Everything just happened. There was so many meetings and induction period for 2 weeks. And I was just like, oh my God, there's so much going on. And because it was the first ever team, there was so much excitement and happiness around the club, and everyone was in that novelty phase and little honeymoon,
Yep.
And I wouldn't take it back for the world. I loved it so much. It was like you're making history.
It was fun.
Yeah. What do you remember of it?
Honestly, not that much. And I was trying to think about that as you were talking about it, and I don't know, I think this is going to sound bad, but COVID really just messes up my timelines and my memories of so many things that I remember the first game obviously very, very vividly, but from a lot of preseason stuff like that, I think a lot of it just becomes a blur. Coming from, so I did the last year of the VFLW program when we transitioned to the AFL. And I remember more about the VFL last year of VFLW because of the excitement and the hype leading into AFL than I remember about the first year of AFLW at Saints, which is probably terrible. But I remember the first game. I remember the lineup, the banner, the fireworks, all that. But yeah, the rest just becomes a big old blur to me, which is probably horrible. But I remember being super exciting and super fun. And realistically, for the most part, no one had really any idea what we were doing.
No one has any idea.
There's nothing that you can do for the first year or something like that and actually have it all, have your shit together effectively.
Yeah, pretty much. You just have to play it by ear and just go along with it. Yeah, it was fun though.
Yeah. Who did you look up to moving down here?
At Saints?
Doesn't have to be just from Saints, yeah. Or in the AFLW in general?
Bree Davey, I really looked up to her.
Now you're friends.
Yeah, little Bree.
Football friends.
Football friend. I idolised her so much.
Yep.
Especially knowing that she did her ACL too. I was like, oh my God. And then just her soccer background and the dual sport and everything else she's done in between.
Yep.
And now she's Collingwood captain, won the best and fairest for the league. There are so many other girls that I still pinch myself. And I feel like I'm back being a little 18-year-old because I'm just like, this is so cool.
That was going to be my next question. Did you ever feel starstruck by anyone or anything?
Yeah. Even my teammate, Britt Benici, I remember watching her when she was versing the Lions, Collingwood and Lions, and I was still in the academy at the time, probably 16, and they were playing up in Brisbane. And I remember watching them up the race, and I was like, oh, that is so cool. And now they're my teammates.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Harvey.
Good morning.
I think Harvey just had a dream.
He's back to sleep.
He's back to sleep. Bit of a nightmare, Harvey.
Shake it off.
You'll be right, buddy. Come on, we were talking about it again. Harvey's distracted me.
Yeah.
Starstruck. What about at
Starstruck.
Saints? Like, just from like a club point of view, because like St Kilda is a pretty traditional club without being a huge club, I'd say.
Yeah.
Lots of history and lots of like crazy Saints fans.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you met, especially in like the first few years, you kind of looked at and you're like, oh my God, like he's just standing across from me, or hey, I'm talking to you right now and I don't know what you're saying anymore.
Yeah. Probably my best friend, Tilly.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm terrified if I ever get her to sit in this chair.
Don't.
Oh, might have a few bleeps in there, that one.
Yeah.
A few editing and post-production.
I reckon the podcast will go for like 3 hours.
Oh,
You
it'd
two
be
just
so
go.
fun. Oh, there's so many people I could like stick in a room like that. Like,
Yeah.
imagine us stuck Tilly there and Kathy there and
Oh,
just let the world burn.
You literally don't. Put your mic off. Just sit
I
back.
think I'd actually just become a like active participant, but just listen and just watch them go at it. It would be quite funny.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, Till for sure. I remember a sticking moment for me was after I did my second ACL at Saints, round 4 versus Freo.
Yep.
I went into the rooms like where we were getting our physio and massage done, and a few of the boys have come down and just asked if I was okay. And the captain at the time, and I just thought, you actually don't have to do that, but just the culture that Saints were about, I was like, this is amazing that they just took their time out of their day and watching the game as well, to come down and I guess ask if I was okay, because I clearly wasn't, but little 18-year-old just done a second knee. But yeah, I just thought that was a real moment for me going, this is an amazing club.
How'd you do number 2?
No.
Because I vividly remember it, unfortunately.
It's on Sunrise.
It is on Sunrise.
I actually have my moment on TV for the wrong reason.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah, I just tend to go a bullet a gate.
Yeah, like 110%.
And I
And
just
some.
stepped out too far, and this girl from Fremantle has stepped to my right, and my left knee has just gone
My head
like
went that way, and
over
my left
here.
leg went that way.
Yeah, and I remember being in slow motion, and I was like, nah, it's not gonna do it, and I just went crack, and before you know it, I was on the ground, and I was like, oh, I just did it again.
It's like your prime example of how you're going to do it, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So that was great.
What was the difference that you remember from doing the first one and the second one, like in the moment? Do you remember it? Like, should I've done it again? Or shit, that didn't hurt so bad? Or, oh my God, did I just do that again?
Oh, yeah, the second one, I reckon I've been told so many times that, oh, you looked in so much pain on the second one. And I was like, I actually wasn't in pain. That was just me being sad because I knew I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mad and sad.
And this catastrophizing going, oh my God, I've got a year of rehab again. And the highs and lows of it, I was like, God, I'm dreading it in that moment.
Yeah, especially hanging out with me 4 times a week.
Oh,
Takes its toll.
literally. That's why you want to quit your job.
Yeah.
No,
Seriously.
I'm kidding.
No, I'm okay with it.
Hey, that's
Hey,
why
you're
we're here
still
today.
sitting
Yeah.
3-4 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't have been too bad.
Yeah, not at all. But yeah, I just knew instantly that it was gonna.
Yeah, we knew. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, as I said, it was one of those ones you're like, oh, God, here we go again.
Yeah, pretty much. And I love when, the physios, the doctor's like, oh, let's just get a scan. And I was just like,
it's
no, I've done it.
Yeah.
You don't have to sugarcoat things to me. I'm
Come
like,
on,
I've done
Lisa.
it.
I know. Just tell me how it is.
Lisa, and she's like, all right, you did it. I was like, thanks.
Thank you.
Now I can cry.
I needed that now. Water wax.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Turnaround time from second one to surgery, same kind of thing, straight in.
Yep, straight in. 2 weeks later, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
We versed Carlton and then Richmond, and then I was in surgery in between those.
Yep.
And the surgery was, I was up and walking the first few days.
You were, yeah. And then you got
I remember
yelled at.
walking around the club there. I was like, where's your crutches? I was like,
Then you got yelled at. Yeah.
probably you.
No, I
was
didn't do any yelling. I didn't have to.
I just remember heel to toe, heel to toe.
Heel to toe, heel to toe, heel to toe.
It'll get straight. But the turnaround time was 9 months on the dot. And I'm like, I'll happily say that to anyone. I got 9 months ACL rehab. Because it's just,
What allowed you to be 9 months instead of 12 months?
I reckon being in the system and who was doing my rehab, like you and Ben were so dedicated to the rehab girls, and obviously everyone else in the team. But it was just it's a full-time gig, and it's not just making sure I'm doing my repetitions right, but it's also the follow-ups that you did as well that also got me through. So, like everything in between, and I think there was a different system in place as well. The first one, I thought I was held back a lot because of my age. They were like, your risk of doing it again is like this much %. I was like, cool, awesome,
Yeah, cool.
but
Don't care. Keep me going. Yeah.
get me going. And to be fair, if I do one again now, I'm just like, okay, cool, because I've done everything right.
Yeah, and I think
That's
from
just a
like
shame.
our point of view, and I don't know if you know this or not, but from our point of view, like one, you'd done it before, so you kind of knew what you're in for.
Yeah.
But two, like and I remember this from Ben and I's point of view, like you are very, very diligent and sometimes too diligent with everything you do. You and Renee stick you two together in the same room.
Oh.
Too diligent with like everything you do, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
If you like cultivate and like taper that.
Yeah.
So like from our point of view, it was just criteria based. So as soon as you pass one thing, it's just move on to the next, to the next. And we never really took a timeline approach. We just took like a criteria based approach that these are the things you need to do.
Yeah.
And someone who is an athlete and you've done it before, you knew what you had to do, full stop, which also just allowed you to go, okay, next box tick, and just go through the stages of
pretty much. Yeah, and that's what I loved about it. It was more criteria based, as you say, rather than going, oh, you've got to wait this many months for this. Yeah. It was more like, okay, you're moving well, you feel well, your strength's up. Let's go. Let's push on.
Yeah, and like with normal science, we know a graft takes X amount of months anyway to heal, full stop, irrespective of how well you do your rehab and how well you progress, which is fine. But knowing that as well just made it a bit easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially from your point of view, is like, I know that this graft takes X amount of months to recover and fully heal. Full stop, it's not going to happen until then anyway. So I'm just going to do everything I can until that point. So it's in a best case scenario.
Yeah, and that's still how I think. And it's probably... like it's driven me in a good way, and I've got to be really self-aware of how much I think about it, but I try use it as fuel again, going, okay, well now I am a full-time athlete. I'm going, let's still be really diligent with everything I do, and if injuries happen or if another ACL happens, that's just really bad luck. Touch wood, literally, your head.
It's pretty hollow.
Yeah, it looks like that. But yeah, and that's the way I think. I hope it never happens to me or anyone, but if it does, then that's unfortunate because I've done everything right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've followed the protocol. So yeah.
What about position-wise? Obviously, you played out of position at Saints for the first few years. How'd you go with that?
It was very difficult. You're in a sweet spot.
Yeah, I know. I know. I have some background information, This
is why you called me in.
No, I just wanted to hang out with you, get some coffee.
It was a good coffee.
Yeah, it was.
It was really challenging.
Yeah, where'd you play?
Mid, forward, half back.
Yeah.
It was really challenging because I am a utility and I've owned it now, but to settle into a position takes a little bit longer sometimes, and also depending on who you verse, who you play on as well. and how the team structure is, if we want to be more attacking one week or we've got to be more defensive, and everything else that falls into place. So for me, it was a big challenge, and obviously at that time, like, and still now, like, I'm still so young and immature minded at times, and I have to go, okay, hang on a second, I'm not thinking like an adult, I'm thinking like a little 18-year-old at times. So I've got to always keep myself in check with how my thoughts are. But I've definitely come around to it, going and embraced it. I really have at Pies, knowing that, you know what, I am the utility, that's why they want me. That's why they want me here, and to think that I may well be like an integral part of their team, then I'll do everything I can for them. Yep.
Where would you love to play? Where would you like to hamper down at?
Definitely midfield. Obviously, it's the best position. But I think at Pies, I'm quite open to anything because there are so many girls that can do different roles. So it compensates for if I need to play out of position as well. So the load of pressure isn't, I guess, always on that one person. It's on the entire team because we can all do different roles and chop in and out where we need. And that's how, I guess, they've become so successful over the years, because everyone can do, I guess, not everything, but so many different roles. So that's probably why the buy-in's there from me. Yeah, loving it.
How'd you go with moving clubs?
It was hard. I feel like I'm still mourning in a way. Like, I see Saints on socials. Yeah.
Interesting.
I am soft.
Yeah. I know you have a soft side. Don't worry. I've seen the soft side. You've cried on me a few times. Don't worry. I know.
Cried on me a few times.
I have. You're right. You got me.
Fine. Yeah, for sure. I still am. Like, I remember
It's still pretty fresh though. Like, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
Move on that fast.
I felt like a little bit of an imposter at Pies, and then I, like, through the transition period the last few months, I was like, oh my God, like, this is just so hectic. I miss my Saints girls and all that, and the staff as well. But then, coming to think of it, I was like, no, I'm here for a reason. I've got to allow myself to feel this, but also know that I'm here to do a job.
Yeah, that's probably the one thing I regret, and like selfishly, like talking about my like sporting athlete life, like it's probably the one thing I should have done that I never did, which was move clubs.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, look back now, I'm like, shit. Now we're washed up talking to athletes.
Look what you're doing now.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no, I definitely, it was one of those things that I wish I definitely did. What's the thing, I wouldn't say what like made you move, but what kind of, obviously you moved to Queensland and then you've moved clubs, like what makes you want to move on? Is it like further development? Like, is it like finding your feet somewhere else? Like, you just want a new experience? Like, what's the driver for you?
A fair few things. It was, not to say like it won't happen again, but I feel like I'm at the right place where I need to be right now.
Nice.
For my career. Yep. And I think the moving factor for me from Queensland to Melbourne was for my career.
Yep.
And, you know, being at Saints, like, and also like having to move to Pies, I thought, okay, well, I need to do something again for my career.
Yep.
As selfish as that may seem. I had to challenge myself in ways that probably I haven't challenged myself before, or like gone further than what I've experienced. Yeah, nice. And it was really hard to kind of come to terms with that, because you're leaving behind like 30 incredible girls and then staff as well, and the memories.
Yeah.
And I remember like, it even still...
You're still an OG Saint. You don't ever get to lose that.
Yeah, that's
first
true.
First game. Still playing the first game.
I did, yeah. But yeah, it was really hard. I knew that I needed a little bit more for myself, to be fair. And that's probably like, I'm not trying to shade Saints out at all, but I just, for me, as the trying to be as professional as I can be with standards and all that stuff, nice. I thought, you know what, this is what I need for myself, and to challenge myself and put myself out of my comfort zone again. And
really character building.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jazz's favourite term.
Yeah, and athlete building a little bit.
Today, actually,
yeah.
So. Did want a character build. Did want to do another potty. She has to lead her own soon. I'm so excited.
But we'll look after her dog.
Yeah, he's pretty cute.
Yeah, he is. Nice. So yeah, it was tough, and I still do mourn it, especially like seeing the girls in the first week, I was like, oh my God, like I know exactly what they're doing and where they are. And I was like, oh.
Don't know what that structure looks like, and I know what they're doing now. And
And so like I had to allow myself to, again, go through that and going, okay, like it's all right. And I spoke to a few Pies girls going like, oh, is this a normal feeling? And they're like, yeah, it is. When I move clubs, I experience that too. Yep. And I feel like it's just more having the conversation about it rather than building it.
Yeah, 100%. And like I would think it's something you move on pretty quickly when you get into your usual routine. Like it's not
100%.
Something that you're only thinking about it when you're scrolling on Instagram, which like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, I missed that. And then you're like, oh, okay, move on.
Yeah,
like,
and then it's like training time and I'm like, all right, men's zone. Pretty
Blue
much. Blue brain. It's a Saints thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I need to bring that. I actually brought this here a little bit, but I need to bring it more here.
It's pretty good.
It does make so much sense.
It does. It really does. Yeah. I love it.
What about Collingwood excites you?
Oh, everything.
Just in general. Just not necessarily footy or the girls or the facilities. Just like what gets you excited?
It's not the facilities. I like if I was to say facilities, Saints have better facilities.
Yeah.
So it's not that. I think it's being a part of something special and all having the same goal and working to achieve the same thing. I remember on last Monday for our first training and we got into the gym and everyone was just so serious and so many girls hit PBs at bench press that day. And there was this 10 of us girls screaming and just like the vibe in the gym and then training, and then it led into such an amazing week. Where our skills were up, our intensity, but also having fun at the same time. Yep. And I probably haven't smiled that much in so long. Yep. Even when we went to the netball last night and supporting the netball girls at Pies for their last home game. And that's been a bit of an issue itself, but we thought, all right, let's stay united and help the girls out. And they got their win as well. Yep. So, and we all went out to dinner last night and just having the laugh like we did, and
it's being a part of something.
Yeah, it's feeling like I'm a part of something. Yeah, I love it.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's exciting. This is like left to center because we're going to go back 2 steps. Talk to me about Ben.
Frith.
Yeah.
I hate him. He is just... No, I'm kidding.
No, keep going. He's only going to hear this when I send it to him, so...
I love him.
For someone who spends so much time with Ben, though, like...
Yeah, I can't speak any more highly of him. Him and I feel like we had a really good relationship and understanding of each other and what he expected of me and the way I would go and do it and the way he knew, I guess, my body and my mind back the front going, Ben, like, I'm not feeling good. This is a bad pain, or I'm not feeling good, but okay, I can push you a little bit. I guess having that close relationship with your S&C is so important and something that I'll really treasure. Like the same with you, really, as well. He's an amazing guy, and I've loved working with him over the past few years at Saints.
When did he drive you up the wall?
Every day. I remember through COVID, actually. I don't know where I was living at the time, somewhere. And we weren't able to access the Saints facilities because of COVID, obviously. And he had his little home gym.
Yes.
And I remember he invited me down. I think it was twice a week, like early morning, and we do our rehab together.
Yeah.
And I remember at the start, it was a little bit awkward. He'd just sit there with his coffee and go, do this, like a grumpy old man.
Normal Ben things.
Normal Ben. And I was like, all right. And then I opened up a little bit, and then he did. And we just were like, by the end, it was just such a great mutual understanding of each other and able to have really good gags at the time. And I have so much love and respect for him. Yeah.
One asked him what you thought. I thought you were going to say.
I'm a nice girl.
Stop. What about other life, like outside of life, Tarni? What do you like to do away from football?
Got a dog.
Yeah.
No,
what are some hobbies? What do you like to do for Tarni? So we talked about walking the dog and things like that before, but actually, before we even go into hobbies, what did you do for work before you became full-time athlete? Because we haven't spoken about that yet.
I've had a fair few jobs.
Yeah, you've done a lot.
I reckon every time we see each other, I get a new job.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. But the previous job I had, I worked with the government, the Department of Transport, full-time. And that was through the last season at Saints and pre-season. And that was probably the most challenging I've ever had it. Trying to do things. Tired, Tarni, back to back, raising a puppy at the same time, no sleep. And I realised it, like, if I wanted to be really serious, I've just got to stop it. Pretty much. So it wasn't, I guess, I couldn't get a casual job out of it because they needed a full-time role.
Yep.
So it was in my best interest and their best interest that I guess I just resigned.
Yep.
And then from there, like, I loved my time there because the networking side of things through the government and just the transport itself, like, I've made so many new contacts and friends out of it that are outside the general football world. And I've made a different kind of friends that are...
It's nice to be outside the football bubble.
Yeah, I loved it. It was a breath of fresh air at times. Even though they'll be like, how's footy on the weekend? I'd be like, oh my God, how was your weekend? And it didn't help that our building right in the city overlooked the pies.
Oh, really? So you're saying it manifested itself?
It manifested it for a while. I was like, oh, that looks pretty nice. I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
No, not.
Nice. Yeah. What else have you done previously?
Previous to that, I worked at Ladder. I got the job through Britt Benici at Pies, where I was a community partnerships development coach. And that was more working with people who come from a disadvantage or disability. And that was where I truly found my passion for helping people and getting completely outside of my comfort zone and just out of my own head, really, because I'm like, okay, well, someone's really got it worse than me. How can I help them? And it may not be through, I may not have the qualifications, but I'm someone there who can, I guess, help educate them on health and well-being through my football journey, or being able to sympathise with them if they're out of home going, you know what, I've moved states. I know how you feel. I've moved like 10 times since I've been to Victoria. I really know how you feel with, being really...
You've lived in more houses than I have.
Yep, pretty much. So it was being able to, I guess, sympathise and empathise at times with those people and just empower them to give them a voice and really... I guess, point them in the right directions to what they wanted to do in life, because a lot of them didn't have any idea. So it was, I loved it. I can't say a bad word about it. I would love to go back there if I could, but full-time athlete now.
Well, what legacy would you like to leave as an athlete? It's a big question, I know.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
you should have
prompted
me on that one.
Yeah, coffee's probably worn off by now too.
It has. Yeah. Need a third. I feel like I feel like I'll forever evolve as an athlete, especially while I'm still growing, like going into my adult years as an athlete as well.
Yeah, because you're still a baby.
I still am, whether I like it or not. And like even just reflecting on my maturity as an 18-year-old who I guess was so diligent but also quite immature at times to who I am now and to who I might be in, I guess, 4 years' time. It's hard to say. It's
a long way away too.
It's a long way away, and I hope I'll stay in the league for 10 years or so, but I guess the legacy that I would love to leave is just embracing, I guess, what's around you, whether that be, I guess, your teammates, yourself, what the program's like, the club values, just embracing everything, take it as it comes, and working with it, not against it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you try to work against things for so long, you obviously get worn out. So if you embrace what you've got rather than, I guess, gloom and doom on what you don't have, then you're going to waste all this time, and it's precious being an athlete, time is. Mm-hmm. So, take everything while you have it. Yeah.
What about post-athlete life?
Good Lord.
Yeah, I know. And I don't expect you to know this, by the way. Is there something you'd want to do? Obviously, we talked about playing rugby.
I have
and stuff
a plan.
Before.
Pies have been really good, and they've helped create like a post-football life or even post-season life for me as well. And I'd really love to get into the media side, commentating, but the one thing is coaching as well.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever want to get out of the AFL system. I think I've got a really good footy brain. It's just how can I use it and adapt to different communication styles or different ages or abilities and things like that. So that's probably my growth point and something I've identified at Pies. Triggered.
Edit.
Something I've identified I'd love to work on and lean on those people who are in some really good roles or do podcasts, for example, or in the media.
Become co-host.
Exactly. That's what I want. That's why I'm here.
Maybe we'll do one with Jazz. Actually, no, we'll co-host Tilly's one.
Tilly will co-host it.
Yeah, to be fair, Tilly will literally just host it herself and we'll just walk out.
Yeah,
She'll probably talk to herself.
It's funny because it's so true.
I know. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really into coaching lately, as well as commentating and all that.
Do you like the group aspect of coaching or helping the person?
Helping the person.
They are a little interchangeable, but...
Yeah, definitely. Like, I feel like I can see things and people that you could really work on. And, like, because I'm someone who sits back a lot, I guess I see a lot.
Yeah.
So, in that aspect, if I was to coach, I'd be going, I would love to help you in these ways and build on your strengths or help you somewhere where you may not be, I guess, really strong at, for instance, and tailor it to the person, which then goes hand in hand with the group because it's making the group better, but also the individual, I guess, better and happier. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Exciting.
I know. What are you doing?
I don't know. I struggle to plan more than 6 months in advance. So, I live in the day to day, and I like that.
Yeah.
We all have shoot for the moon goals and things like that, but things just change too quickly. I'm not a long-term goal setter.
Yeah.
I'm a poor short-term goal setter too. I can just get it done. I'm a doer. I have plans and I do planning and I can if I need to, but I'd rather just do it and just let it evolve and it'll change 10 times and that's me.
That's good to be like that though.
Yeah. Until someone asks you, when are you calling in 3 years? I don't know. Might not be here. It might still be here. I don't know.
You have no idea. Yeah. And that's good though. You're just living in the moment.
I find it great.
Yeah.
Tarni, we are going to wrap it up. You made it.
Thank you.
You survived.
Heart rate.
An hour?
Heart rate check.
Should be, maybe just over an hour. You'd be mid-60s right now.
69.
It's close. High 60s. God. Keep it together. Breathe.
The kid coming out.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about immature mindset.
You were looking
at me
I
was looking at it because I knew what you were going to do. I was like, God, get it out. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, you embarrassed me, but you were thinking it.
No, of course
I just said it.
What have you liked about podcasting, Tom?
I've actually loved it. It was actually a lot easier than I thought.
Told you it was not so bad.
You just forget the camera's there and that we're just having a chat. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. What'd you talk about you didn't think you were going to talk about?
We spoke about everything I thought, to be fair.
Except for Ben.
Ben, yeah.
Careful.
Careful. But I answered it well.
You did.
I did.
Oh, self-praise.
Yeah. You can get another coffee for that.
That's a good point, actually. I could do another coffee.
I could do another coffee.
All right, we're going to wrap it up, Tony. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks
for
having
making
me.
the trek down the old Nepean Highway.
Never
for a
again.
good coffee and some hug and cuddles.
Thank you for having me. Really
you are
appreciate
always
it.
welcome back. We'll see you in the next one.
Have a good day.